Good evening, everybody. What's going on? Welcome to Atlanta Falcons Nation on Monday night. In here like swimwear already. What's up, everybody? Everybody in the chat. I already see y'all already piled in early. Mr. Motivator, Kenneth Lewis, Joseph Thornton, The Nation, Teacher Red, and The Kings. Just to start it off, hello, everybody that's here. Before you get started, please share out this content and let everybody know we have a special show tonight with a special guest. So share this content, subscribe, and everything. Let everybody know that Atlanta Falcons Nation is on right now. So let's get started, people. We have, like I said, once again, we have a special guest of the hour, and I want him to go ahead and introduce himself. Who we have on this panel for today?
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Jake Gordon, otherwise known as at Can't Guard Jake. Fun fact, I had that before Michael Thomas. But I am one of the co-founders of SportsTalkATL.com. You may have seen us around on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. We I helped co-founded in about 2015, and we just kind of started it as a hobby, and it's kind of grown into something more than that, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We definitely love to talk Falcons, though. We may get a little emotional during the games in the fall. We're not super tight reporting. We typically like to have a little fun with it, and that spills over a little bit sometimes. But hey, if you guys love Falcons coverage, we do Hawks, Braves as well. But yeah, you can give us a follow, give me a follow. But I'm happy to be here.
Okay, and we'll make sure your link is in the chat eventually. Let me get that set up for you so they'll know where to find you guys on YouTube. If you want to plug anything at the end, you definitely can do that also. But Atlanta Sports ATL, search for it right now if you're on YouTube, and you can go ahead and get them to subscribe while they're on here. Definitely do that and follow them on social media as well. But let's go ahead and introduce who we are in case anybody that's new watching tonight don't know who we are. We'll start with the guy right next to Jake.
Come on, it's me. It's Man Mike. Everybody know who I am.
You messed
What's
it up,
Mad Mike?
Mike. You messed it up already. You supposed to start with
I can't be predictable. This ain't the Falcons offense. I can't be predictable. Okay.
Well, we got the great one, Mr. Mad Mike. I guess he need a whole introduction and a drum roll and all that for him. But look, in case anybody don't know, I am.
Eyebrow, we good. Just everybody do the people's eyebrow, okay? This one time. That's it. That's all. We good.
And I am your host, Miss Maggie T. In case anybody don't know who I am, I do also Atlanta Hawks news. Trying to get into the Braves, but I'm more covered of Falcons and Hawks for the most part because it's just a lot of Hawks, Falcons, the Braves games. It's just hard to keep up with all that all together. So, but that's who I am, Miss Maggie T. If you don't know me, and who do we have underneath me?
They already know. Juju to the bank is what Kstlyz called me. The calm before the storm. Juju on that beat. Ju Talk Sports in the building. You already know another Monday kicking it with your boy Kstlyz as always. What up, people?
All right, that Kstlyz with the big grin. What's going on, Kstlyz?
They already know who the hell I am. Big man. And wait a minute, hold on. Let me make sure. Beer drinker on the show, so what's going on?
Yeah. All right, beer drinker. So as you can see, Jake, we are a bit more laid back as well. We like to have fun. Of course, we're going to give you the sports and the facts and too as well. You're going to get your information, but we like to entertain. So you are fitting right on in, Jake. So let's get started. I see y'all chat. Go ahead and put them red and blacks up. I see you already one. Hello. I'm glad y'all here. And let's get started. We're going to go ahead and get into these questions and get this show started. So he already kind of gave a briefing about, how he started and, what his projects are. So we got a bit to know about Mr. Jake, but let's see what he has to say on the state of these Falcons. So we're going to start with.
Oh, the smile. I see the smile already. Come on, Jake. Give it to us like you give it to on Twitter. Come on, let's get it.
How well did Terry not handle the Julio Jones trade? Is the first question.
So here's my thing. I know all of y'all have all heard Terry talk. Terry is a smooth talking guy. He's got all the right answers. He's very, he's a well-spoken guy. I like listening to him talk. He's got a voice like butter, and I want to like him. I really want to like him a lot. And, some of the free agent moves like Brandon Copeland, a couple guys like that, I understand you got to fill out a roster. And I think he handled the Julio Jones trade about as well as he could. Apparently the Falcons were the ones that put out the report that they were going to get a first-round pick for him, that they had a first-round pick on the table. I can't really blame them for doing that. Maybe you get somebody to make a move. There's a lot of dumb teams out there, like the Texans or something. But I don't think he's doing a bad job. He was dealt a pretty bad hand. He was left a mess by Thomas Dimitroff. And it's clear a lot of these guys weren't happy with the way things ended with Dan Quinn. We saw Keanu Neal was upset on social media. We saw, I believe, maybe DeMonte Casey. A couple guys were pretty upset. And, it's understandable. Coach Quinn's their friend, but it was also understandable from a business and a fan standpoint that it was his time to go. And I think that was the beginning of the end with Julio. Apparently the negotiations weren't super amicable. He got what he wanted, but apparently I don't know if that wasn't enough, but it's just been, thing after thing. I think he did the best he could. Yeah, the return sucks. Getting rid of his whole contract it's a win. It's just one of those things where he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't. But I think he did all right. I'm not going to judge him just yet. I'm going to give him a season or two, especially seeing how this draft class goes. But I want to like Terry. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on this Julio Jones move. I do feel like his hands were tied.
Okay. And I agree with you with there on that one. And Mike, what you got to say about that?
I'm gonna put you on the spot. All right, this is what we do. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Basically, you were not happy with a lot of these moves. And honestly, I don't blame you for that. You're talking about Brandon Copeland. It's like, who the hell wants Brandon Copeland? Let's be honest. My question to you: what would you have done a lot differently? I don't think it's much you could have done with the Julio Jones situation. As far as the defense is concerned, I believe that the Falcons offense will be okay, but defensively, what would you have done differently, whether it's the free agency or the draft?
Yeah, I understand you gotta sign some of these guys to fill out a roster. Justin Houston's still sitting at home. Malik Hooker's still sitting at home. Desmond King signed for $3 million. I'm seeing a lot of good defenders go off the board for not that much more than some of the guys I've seen. And I will give them some credit. I love the Fabian Moreau signing. I think he's going to be solid. Love the Deron Harmon signing. As far as defense goes, that's easily the best signing for me. But I'm just seeing a lot of names go, and I'm like, man, that's not that expensive of a contract. I really feel like you could have made that work. I know money's going to be tight, all the way down the wire. But after they traded Julio, if they knew this was going to be a thing a long time ago, I say they might as well push the chips in and got some pieces on defense.
All right. And who want to go next? Kstlyz or Jew Talk? What y'all think about that?
Kstlyz, it's your world, baby.
Terry.
Hey. So outside of the Brandon Copeland move, the signing, like I said, was there any other signing that you was kind of skeptical of that they did besides Brandon Copeland? Or
if we're talking either side of the ball, Josh Andrews is definitely like okay. He's a scheme fit. His PFF grade, I don't know if y'all have ever used PFF. It's not the end all of tools, but usually most players are green and yellow, and he was red. That was the first thing that I saw with him. So,
I'm about to say I didn't know he had a color on him. Shoot,
I don't even know if he almost didn't play enough snaps for it. But hey, I guess you could do worse for a backup guard. But.
Well, coming from James Carpenter and other name and Jamon Brown, I guess they say they couldn't do no worse, right?
Yeah, and that was my thing too. It's one of those things, I'm not a big pat myself on the back kind of guy. That whole offseason, it was Roger Saffold who ended up going to the Titans. But we decided on Jamon Brown and James Carpenter. It was like, all right, well, let's get 2 bad guards and see if they'll be as good as one good one. And I guess that was Dimitroff's plan. So,
and Juju, what you got?
Since we're talking about signings, out of the players you just named, Jake, Justin Houston, Malik Hooker, which guy would you have went with if we're going to bring in, because we still have a little bit of money right now, and the rumors are that Justin Houston is looking at between the Ravens and the Falcons. Out of those guys you named, Malik Hooker, Justin Houston, or anybody that's on the waiver wire, which player would you bring in if you were the GM?
But even, the Falcons, they got about, 8.5 million to play with. I kind of thought he was going to be a 1 year, 8 million, 1 year, 7 million kind of guy. I mean, he had 8 sacks last year. Now Malik Hooker, that might be a 1 year, 1 million, 1 year, 2 million. I think financially Malik Hooker makes the most sense. I'm still not super comfortable with safety. I like Rishi Grant. I like Daron Harmon. Jalen Hawkins, we got very limited looks at him. But edge rusher is just such a big need, man. If you can make the money work with Justin Houston, I can go into week 1 feeling a lot better about the pass rush.
Okay, and Jude, did you have anything to add to about what you think about how Terry handled everything so far? What are your thoughts on him?
I actually had a follow-up for Jake, because I don't know a whole lot about Malik Hooker. From what I hear out of Malik Hooker is he's a guy that's been injured a lot when he was with the Indianapolis Colts. But if he would have brought over to the Falcons, what do you think he could bring to that secondary that we don't already have? Because I don't know a whole lot about him.
I mean, he's a high safety. So Malik Hooker was probably a year or two before I started actually doing draft scouting, stuff like that. But just watching him, because I watched a lot of college football, and he's a high safety. He's a ball hawk. He's like a heat-seeking missile. And the thing is, it's like, yeah, man, I look at the box score. I'm like, he missed, 13 games last year. I'm like, well, he had 2 interceptions, in the 3 games he did play, he had 2 picks. And, it's like he's got 5 career interceptions in 13 games. And I'm like, man, if this guy can just play 16 games, I really think you have something. And you can get him for so cheap. I think it's a low risk, high reward. If he can't stay healthy, it's $1 million, $2 million. At a position you badly need some help at. So I'm cool with taking a swing on him there. But I just don't know if that's, if that was ever in their plans. I don't know if he's talked to him or anything like that.
Okay. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into the next question here. So we got into Terry. So what are your thoughts about Arthur Smith so far as well?
So I really like Arthur Smith. He's got I feel like he's kind of got that hard ass attitude. He's making people laps when they, run laps when they jump off sides. And he's kind of playing tough a little bit so far. And that doesn't always work. I've been on record talking about this. I've said, sometimes guys like Matt Patricia, they come in and they think they can be Bill Belichick from day one. Not that, Coach Smith is trying to do that. But that don't always work. You got to have respect. But I feel like Arthur Smith, I've heard him in interviews. He's kind of funny. I'm sure he gets along with the guys. But I think he knows what he's doing. And hopefully, at least this is my hope, that these guys on offense for so long have been like, oh my gosh, we've been working with what Dirk Cutter's been giving us. This guy knows what he's doing. This guy knows how to call an offense. And they're kind of gaining that respect and gaining that trust. Because Matt Ryan, historically, I love him. He has historically not done very well with first-year play callers. And that concerns me as he gets older, and this team is going to be kind of, boom or bust this year. They could win 6 games. They could win 10 or 11. But I like Coach Smith. I like his direction. I think he's a creative play caller. And, I take issue to a lot when people say, oh, he kind of got handed everything he did. And I'm like, that guy was an offensive analyst. If your dad's the CEO of FedEx and you really don't want to be a football coach, you ain't going to be up at 3 a.m.
Right.
PM. Watch. I think he's got the intelligence. I have high hopes for him. And I think he's the perfect guy to lead it out of the Dan Quinn era, because it's that no nonsense attitude.
Absolutely.
Well,
what you got, Mike?
I kind of got a follow up. One of the things that I thought what was the Falcons' major issue, it wasn't so much talent, is they didn't do the small things well at all. Looking back at film, you look at the Falcons have been historically, even I think maybe after 2013, 14, somewhere in there, the Falcons start to really struggle in the red zone, and maybe that had a lot to do with Michael Turner not being that that consistent thumper that you need in the red zone. Do you think that Arthur Smith was primarily here to shore up the fundamentals of this football team? Because I feel as though that they got away from the fundamentals and they kind of that became a splash team, much like the Chiefs. Do you think, those were one of the main reasons why they brought why they hired Arthur Smith?
Absolutely. And he had a a lot of success with the red zone in Tennessee. Granted, he's got a grown man back there running the ball, but a lot of success in the red zone in Tennessee. But I think a lot of that is play calling. Look, Ryan Tannehill, no disrespect to the man, he wasn't a top 5 quarterback statistically, efficiency wise for, just because he woke up one day and decided he was better. So, I mean, there's some coaching involved with that. Like, no disrespect, he did what he did. And, a lot of that was his own volition, but you got to think something just clicked with the quarterback and, the head coach. And you got to think, Arthur Blank, the search committee, they said, well, here's a guy, we got a quarterback who's very talented, a former MVP, but he's getting a little bit older. If we can get a coach that can make him a lot more efficient, get it done in the red zone, a little bit of, the no nonsense that you were talking about, the fundamental stuff, they think they can clean it up and Matt Ryan can get back to where he was. And I kind of like that direction. I can respect it. And I think it was the right hire. There were so many names out there, a lot of guys floated around. I think it was the right hire. And, if it doesn't work out, I can't really say I fault him for it.
All right.
I kind of got a little follow up on that too. It's more so you got the excuse me. You got kind of like the people that are skeptical about Arthur Smith is talking about he called good play, but like you said, he had a Tonka truck. He had that UPS truck in the backfield. So how do you feel like he's going to be able to use these running backs as far as their skill set? You think it's going to be more of a by committee, or is it going to be like whoever has the hot hand?
I think it's going to be a lot of by committee. And the thing is, too, with Arthur Smith is I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but Derrick Henry was, under a 4-yard per carry back until Arthur Smith got there, and now he's running for 2,000 yards. I think what Arthur Smith does best is he knows what he has, and he knows how to put what he has in a position to win. And so I got faith in him. I thought Mike Davis was a great signing. He looks in shape. I'll tell you that much. He may not be Derrick Henry. He's trying to look like him. But I think Mike Davis, is he a lead back? Maybe he can be. He looked really good in Carolina in McCaffrey's absence. I like what you got in Javian Hawkins as an undrafted free agent. He's never going to be a 3-down back, but he'll change up the pace for you. You got to see what you have in Kadri Allison eventually. They got a stable of backs, man. I'm not a big draft a running back high guy. I say draft him, run the legs off of, and then draft another one. So I think he can work with those guys. I don't think we're gonna have a 2,000-yard rusher on this team, but I still think the running game will look a lot better than it has probably since 2016, 2017.
Oh, say that again. Say that last part.
Run the ball.
Dirk Cutter was allergic to running the ball and made his skin crawl.
We have a saying here on AFN. All right, we have a saying on AFN. We said every show, run the damn ball.
The damn ball. Let me put that picture up for purposes of people that don't know, but that's our motto here at AFN. So put that as a hashtag. It's BAWWL ball.
It's a good one to have.
Yeah. I can't find the picture. Okay, so put that picture up. Put that up if you get a chance. But we're gonna go ahead and get to Juju. What you have to say to that?
As far as Arthur Smith, the question that I have for Jake, do you think that our red zone efficiency is going to take a huge jump? Because I feel like over the last, maybe since Kyle Shanahan, like we just couldn't get the ball in the red zone. We couldn't punch the ball in. Last season, we kicked a lot of field goals inside of the green zone, money zone, red zone. And I really feel like that was one of the biggest problems. There you go. There you go. Yeah, so I just want to get your take on that, Jake. Do you think that he'll be able to bring, because Tennessee has been one of the best teams as far as red zone efficiency, and I'm loving what you've been saying, because it's what we've been teaching here at AFN about Ryan Tannehill, Arthur Smith, everything you pretty much said is being regurgitated. So I just want to hear what you think about our red zone efficiency, because I feel like that's a huge issue.
And it's funny. You look at how good the Falcons offense was. Julio Jones, just not as much of a red zone threat as he should have been. Calvin Ridley, no shade to Rid. I love the guy so much. He ain't a go and get it guy. You stick a quarter under his foot whenever he jumps. He may not clear it, but he can run a route better than almost anybody in the NFL. Not a big time red zone guy. Now, what you lose with Julio Jones, you gain in Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts has one of the most insane catch radiuses. Granted, it's only been 3 years. Most insane catch radiuses that I've ever studied. As a since I've been doing my draft stuff. Longest wingspan in NFL history for a tight end. He goes up and gets the ball. Like, it's just plain and simple. He's bigger than you. He's stronger than you. He's more athletic than you. He's going to go up and get it. And I think if Arthur Smith can scheme him in a multitude of ways to get those mismatches, you get a nickel corner on him, even a boundary corner that's, somebody not like Jalen Ramsey, but like a smaller boundary corner, nickel corner, a slower linebacker. He's lunch meat, and if you can consistently do that all year, I think it's going to be a lot easier to find the red zone even without Julio Jones, which is crazy to say, but
you ran right into that, because excuse me. But damn, I'm almost excited to even get it. I can't get it out. Julio Jones, one of the things that I've always said with Julio Jones is that if he had a weakness, it's scoring touchdowns. Even when we had, Kyle Shanahan, you go back to the Kyle Shanahan days, you had 138 catches, I believe, that year, nearly 1,800 yards or some crazy number like that. He only had 6 touchdowns, even in his best season as a receiver. So for me personally, and this is one of the reasons why I'm not as upset with the Julio Jones leaving, is because of the guys you just stated. We struggled scoring points in the red zone. We had no issues getting there, even with the lack of a running game. We got to the red zone, but we couldn't get in the end zone. Do you think a lot of that had to do with the lack of creativity, or was this Julio Jones? Is just like Julio Jones is one of those guys? He's great, but he's not going to get you touchdowns.
Hey, I'm so glad you asked this as well, because anytime I can take a piss on Dirk Cutter, I'll take advantage. But so
please,
there were
show
times,
forward, please.
There were times last year, they would draw up, I can't remember the name of the Twitter, and I can't shout the guy out, but he would do like a live action. It would be an X's and O's, but it'd be a live action. It would be drawn out. And you look at some of these plays that Dirk Cutter would call on like 3rd and goal from like the 4. He's got like one tight end running a drag in the back of the end zone, Julio running a fade, and that's the only 2 routes. And it's like, are you unserious? Like you gotta be messing with us at this point. But and sometimes I wonder if he actually overthought it. If he was like, man, everybody's gonna be focused on Julio Jones. I can just scheme around him, and he just never got it, or never wanted to get it to him, or never wanted to scheme him open or anything, and just didn't use his best player. I genuinely think that could have been his train of thought, because he's made a lot of questionable moves. But I think at this point, I think that Kyle Pitts is going to be a better red zone weapon than Julio. He ain't going to replace that production. He's never going to draw that kind of attention. He's nobody's ever going to do that. But as far as touchdowns, I mean, if he gets 10 his rookie year, I wouldn't be surprised. That's wishful thinking, obviously. But, is it really out of the realm of possibility? Who else are you going to throw to? I think Russell Gage is going to go for 1,000 yards. He's not a red zone guy. Frank Darby's one of my favorite picks of this whole class. Not a red zone guy. Calvin Ridley, great route runner, not a red zone guy. Kyle Pitts should be seeing a lion's share of those targets. And I think he's going to capitalize.
Okay. And I wanted to also jump into the super chat before we skip over from Black Heart with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you. And he said, nice to catch you guys live. Sorry, I've been away, just busy working on my new 3D print hustle. Hey, you got to get your work on. We appreciate you tuning in now. Make sure you hit that subscribe and share this content. We appreciate you guys today. We definitely do appreciate that, Black Heart.
Thank God.
And,
Make your
I'm
money,
sorry,
bro.
I'm breaking up real bad. Maybe that was me. I couldn't hear nothing you just said, Mike. Okay, you said something. Okay. All right, and we're going to move on to the next question to keep this flowing. How about, so we don't talk about Terry and Arthur, and we kind of already talked about some signings. So if you want to add an additional to, some signings that of this draft class, what are your expectations for a few additionals that you might have not mentioned before?
I'm a big Frank Darby fan. Kid is a killer deep threat. He's nowhere near the athlete that he is. If he was, he would have been taken in the first round. A lot of that DK Metcalf get by you in his game. Pretty much a pure deep threat. The comparison that I made was to Donovan Peoples-Jones with Cleveland last year. Might give you 20 catches, but he's going for 20-something yards a game when he does. Just a big play downfield receiver. I think that can help soften the blow with Julio. I did like Javian Hawkins, big fan of that signing, and also Felipe Franks. I go to UGA, I've spent a lot of time having some fun at Felipe Franks' expense, but he's a big quarterback. He's got a rocket arm, and I think he was way better than a lot of the guys drafted on day 3. We saw Ian Book go to the Saints. That was a terrible draft pick. We saw Sam Ehlinger go to the Colts. That was an even worse draft pick. And it's funny because I was doing my thing with Franks, and I was like, he is Blaine Gabbert. They're the exact same quarterback coming out of college. They're both really tall, super strong arm, decent athlete, sometimes has trouble locating the ball, but he wasn't the 10th pick and he's not going to have to play immediately. So I think he's perfectly fine as a developmental backup. Other than that, I will say I did like the Drew Dahlman pickup. I don't know if he's going to start at center this year. I think Matt Hennessy is going to get that nod. But they needed somebody. They needed some depth at that position. I thought he was good value for that spot.
And Mike, what you got to add to that? What are your expectations for the draft, or do you have a follow up?
Not really. He pretty much confirmed everything that
Mike, you're breaking up. Anybody else hear that?
Yeah, it's breaking for me.
Yeah.
Okay, he is breaking up. Okay, might check your connection. I think you're breaking up, so we couldn't hear what you had to say. While you're getting that fixed, Mike, let's jump into Kstlyz. What you think?
My guy in the draft. You know who we got. I'm gonna have to say the name again because don't nobody know how to say his name right. But I like the draft class. Like I said, I think the theme of the draft class was versatility and value. I've said this plenty of times. You got guys that can play multiple positions, but what you got is guys that had earned their way in college. It wasn't no guys that got handed positions. Like Drew and Maggie would tell you, and Mike would tell you, they picked up one of my favorite guys out this draft, and that was Arthur Tacumbo Ogundeji.
I call him Marty. That's all I got for him.
Yeah, this man don't figure out how to pronounce his name. I'm still getting
Man,
there.
I did. I said the first night I was cool. I just saw the Arthur Tacumbo. I like that's why I said everybody just call him AO. But the expectations is, let's say you're gonna have guys that's gonna fit into this culture as far as knowing that okay, you gotta work your way up. It ain't no you guaranteed this spot. And it's gonna put pressure on the free agents as well because it's like, oh yeah, we got the young hungry dogs. Like even Taquan Graham is another one I like. But
yeah, absolutely. And there were a lot of guys too. I was sitting there and I was like, I got my draft board and I do my own thing. And there's guys that I like, but they have my benefit of the doubt. I have no reason to sit there and say that I know more than they do. Obviously not. And And, you know, I trust them to make the right picks at this point. I thought Richie Grant was a home run. I thought he was one of the best picks of this whole draft. He was my safety one, can play. If you watch the Senior Bowl, he was eating guys alive, playing on the boundary and lining up in the nickel, lining up at free safety, lining up at strong safety. And he's got a lot of that Deron Harmon in his game. And it's funny because one of the NFL draft analysts on one of the shows that was on Twitter the other day compared him to Brian Dawkins, and I don't know about all that. But if he does end up as Brian Dawkins, I guess it'll be an even better pick than I thought. But you know, I really don't have any complaints. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I would have just made 9 perfect picks because I got some crystal ball. I trust them. I think they got the guys that they wanted. I think they had a board. I think they stuck to it, and I can respect that. I got faith in the process, and we'll see how it goes.
And speaking of that, I know Drew gonna talk on this because his prophecy came true on that draft night.
Yeah, I'm a big Richie Grant guy. He already know I'm gonna talk about Richie Grant, but we hit a home run with Richie Grant. Richie Grant was one of the guys that I had circled. It was between him and Andre Cisco. He was a guy that we had on our draft board here at AFN. I actually live in Florida, so I've seen a lot of Richie Grant at UCF, and I thought he was a guy that can come in and bring us that ball hawking type safety that we need here, because your safety needs to be a guy that's that eraser on the back end of that defense, and I think that he's going to be a playmaker. He's going to give us a little bit more than what we've got out of the Ricardo Allens, the Monte Kstlyz. To me, he's one of those guys that has range, and he can pretty much do it all. At safety, he's not afraid to tackle, and he's a guy that is very smart. So I think he's going to bring that ball hawking safety to our back end. And then as far as the draft, Kstlyz just hit on it, so I'm not going to spend too much time. And you hit on it as well, Jake. I think we did a good job of bringing in depth, because I feel like the last couple years we've seen the injuries and we didn't have that depth that we needed to push guys like Tap McKinley that we had here. When we had Vic Beasley here, we didn't have guys to push those guys. Those guys were pretty much given starting positions, where Arthur Smith is making everybody work. We see a lot of these guys on these one-year deals, but we could clearly see one of these guys like a Javion Hawkins that we brought in possibly make the 53-man roster, and one of these guys that we picked up may not make the team, either a draft pick or maybe one of these one-year deal type guys, or even one of the veteran guys that we have on the roster. So I think they did a good job. Terry Fontenot did an excellent job, because we looked at we addressed every position we needed to address. Defensive line, offensive line, those have been our huge weaknesses and our Achilles heel, and then that playmaking safety. So we addressed all of that with either the veterans we brought in, and then, like you said, Kyle Pitts and Richie Grant. To me, both of those picks were home runs. I give both of those picks an A+. So
absolutely, I agree. And you know, it's funny too. I think a lot of that is that best player available strategy that they committed to before the draft. When you do what Thomas Dimitrov and Dan Quinn are doing, and you're running around chasing needs, we got to get this, we need one of these. We got to get this, we get one of these. You can miss guys, and you know, I always go back to that 2017 draft because it makes me want to pull my hair out, because I was. Like I said, not to pat myself on the back, I was jumping up and down screaming because I was convinced we were taking TJ Watt. I was so excited. And, you know, you look at that draft in 2017, we took Eric Saubert, and I think it was either Harlow or Ben Garland, one or the other. You know, we took Saubert in the 6th round. You know, we got Saubert, Harlow, 10 picks later, George Kittle goes. That was one of the best running back drafts in recent memory. We come away with Brian Hill. I trust their scouting. I think Jalen Mayfield is going to be a really interesting pick, though, because as far as best player available goes, you could definitely make the argument that he was in that spot. And he is, if you measure his athletics, his athletic traits as a guard, he measures out kind of nicely. But he was definitely the biggest risk for me. I still like the pick. Like I said, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I do think they managed to hit a lot of, you know, they have so many needs. I think they managed to hit a lot of positions in need, but I think they stuck the best player available, and that's going to serve them well.
I got a quick follow-up, if you don't mind, too, Maggie.
Yeah.
You got to follow up.
Quick follow-up. What did you think about, because I know you said you're big on college football, what did you feel about Azeez Ojulari? I thought he was one of those guys that was still available in the 2nd round. I really wanted us to go after. And Joseph Osai out of Texas. Those are 2 guys I had on my draft board that I really liked, and I thought we were going to go edge a little bit earlier. Nothing against Ogundeji. I love Ogundeji later on in the draft, but I felt like it was a lot of guys in that second and third round that we kind of bypassed. What's your take on that, Jake?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Osai went a lot later than I thought he would. Apparently, Ojulari had, some knee condition that I'm not aware of. Apparently, it happened in high school, but I watched him get 13 sacks a year at Georgia. I don't think it was that big of a deal. And we've seen guys like Jonathan Allen. I remember he was one that got dinged for. They said he had arthritis in his shoulder. It was only ever going to get worse. He's fine. I thought Ojulari might have been the pick when we traded back. And, I'm kind of surprised they didn't hit edge earlier because I thought the beginning of that second round was the sweet spot for edge. I thought there were a lot of good players there. But, like I said, I'm happy with Richie Grant. I thought he was a great pick at the spot, but they had a lot of choices, man. I tell you, if you could probably give me 20 picks in that second round and I would come away with 20 players that I liked. And, Denver traded up with us and they took Javonte Williams, who I love. Javonte Williams was my RB1 in that class. I had him above Najee.
Wow.
So there's a lot of guys they could have took in that second round. Ojulari is one of the big ones I think of. I guess we'll see if his knee holds up. I'm happy with Grant, but I definitely, whenever Mayfield got taken, I kind of remember there being a decent amount of edge talent on the board and kind of shocked they didn't take a swing. Maybe even like a Carlos Basham. I don't remember where he ended up going, but I love me some Boogie Basham.
That was my favorite player in the draft. That was my number one ace in the hole. And Buffalo took him too. I was like, oh Lord. But
he'd be a monster.
But like you said about Jalen Mayfield, and the reason I love about him is from what I've seen him throw guys into the student section. I think this is what this offensive line has been missing since Harvey Dahl and them boys was out there. So I definitely like that pick only because it brings the toughness out of it. And boy, like I said, I know everybody loved Tevin Jenkins. Jalen Mayfield was throwing them up there too. I'll just say that now.
I think he was the best candidate. I think he was going to be the best guy you got size and strength wise that could still play guard. Because Tevin Jenkins, he might be able to play guard. If I remember correctly, he's about 6'7", 315. Right. I don't know if he can move to play at guard. If he can, he's a freak athlete. But I think Mayfield he's got that mean streak. I'm pretty sure he was a captain. I think he was a 3 or 4 year starter. He was exactly what they were looking for. He was very talented. He fell down the board, and I really liked him where they got him. I thought that was a great pick.
Okay, and I have I'm going to let you know we have a couple of more follow-up questions. What I sent you before. Of course, we're going on almost it's 37 minutes. So just wanted to see where you are with us right now. Are you still good on time? We can kind of continue.
Oh yeah.
Just let us know whenever you need to drop off and everything. Okay, just giving you an update. All right. So the next one is you kind of it's gonna be offense. Then of course we're going to defense. Defense after that too. But for the offense, you already kind of mentioned a few players. But do you have any additional key makers on offense, especially your silent people maybe, that you see will make an impact this year on offense?
Yeah, I touched on Frank Darby. I like Frank Darby if he can get into a couple games. I don't know if they're going to bring Zacchaeus back, but he could see a big jump as well. Really, it's kind of like a next man up with receiver. I'm going to go out. I've gone out on a limb. I've owned this take. I think that Russell Gage will go for 1,000 yards this season, just based on volume. I don't know if there'll be 1,000 good yards, but I think based purely on volume, he'll go for 1,000. I think Calvin Ridley is going to make a Pro Bowl. And other than that, Chris Lindstrom played really, really well last year. And I think if he can, Dwayne Ledford, one of the best hires of the offseason for me, fantastic offensive line coach. I think he's going to do wonderful things with Lindstrom. I might come to regret this, but I think Caleb McGarry is going to be okay this year. I don't know if he's going to be good. I think he could be like the 20th best right tackle in the NFL, and that would be a step up from where he was. I think he'll be better. But other than that, I think it'll be the usual suspects.
Did you say what I said? Did you just say what I think you said?
He tried to get
Caleb McGarry.
You still breaking up, Mike.
Hey, look, man, I love you, Jay, but I've been saying this for a while. Dirk Cutter, his play calling did not fit well with here we go.
Mike, you still kind of breaking up real bad. You still kind of breaking up, unfortunately.
They ain't letting you be, man.
I'm about to put them off. We're sorry, Mike. You might recheck, come back in.
And I will say, I'm
sorry
not
about that, Mike.
Caleb
You breaking up real bad. I apologize.
I ain't saying Caleb McGarry is going to go out there and be Orlando Pace, but I do think Dwayne Ledford is a good enough of a coach that he will have him looking competent. And I think that's very important with the pieces that the Falcons do have. Trust me, if I don't see his fifth-year option getting picked up if they move on from him in a year, there won't be any tears from my eyes. So.
Oh, you got a $5 super chat from Black Heart. He talking about I don't do wrong.
I was trying to tell him. I don't think he heard me when I was saying, "Hey, Mike, you kind of messed up." So it's not Jake today; it's Mike. How about that?
It's usually me. It's usually me. So
they won't let my man be great.
You gotta be one of them. I told you it happens.
I'm ready for the discourse too. You know, that's what kills me.
Because it's usually me.
What you got to add to that, Kstlyz? We're going to hope Mike can get back in here towards the end, but what you got to add to that, Kstlyz? Who are your key makers or any follow-up?
I would say it like this, and Jake kind of hit it early as far as the guys that pinpoint and go get it, like with Kyle Pitts. We forget Tajay Sharp is another one of those guys that get up there and go get it. I think Frank Darby can go up there and get it too. I mean, it's a lot better than what we've had. And like I said, damn it, my bad. I had to beat the drum one time for Mike. Hey, man. Yeah, stream y'all messing up already. Y'all messing my mans up now. But my thing is, but my thing is like with the wide receivers and stuff, and that's why I said it's all about that offensive line for me. It's how well can they gel. It's how well, like I said, can they stay healthy? Because like I said, Caleb McGarry, I like Caleb McGarry, but he don't need to be in the offense when they dropping back 40, 50 times a game. That's not his game. And that's why I kind of agree with you on that one. That's what I'm just looking for. I'm just waiting to see what this offensive line is made of now. You got the 300 pounds of pudding there no more, so we good.
Yeah, and the receiver depth, I feel good about the receiver depth. We're not wasting picks on like Marcus Green anymore. And I thought Frank Darby, they got one receiver, and I think they got one good one. And I think Tajay Sharp was a good pickup, little familiarity there. And I think it's a good receiver. Even though losing Julio Jones, I feel like they're still fairly deep at receiver.
They always say you can't replace the player, but this is what Mike always said. You can't replace the player, but you can replace the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, we need some touchdowns because them red zone touchdowns ain't looking good right now. Hopefully we can change that this year.
Everybody talking about he sound like T-Pain. What you got to follow up, Jew?
I think they hit the nail on the head when he's talking about Frank Darby. Hey, one thing I love about Frank Darby is the way that he adjusts to the football. On those deep patterns, from what I've seen on tape, he does a great job of winning those one-on-one battles against corners. And then he played for Herm Edwards. And we know Herman Edwards is no joke as a former NFL coach and now a college coach. If you can play for Herm Edwards, you ready to be a man. You ready to come to the NFL because he's one of those man type coaches. He's definitely going to have his players prepared for the NFL. So I'm not worried about Frank Darby. I do think he can be a contributor. And I do think that we have tons of guys. The Russell Gage going for 1,000 yards, that's really a hot take from you, Jake. You're the first person that I've heard say that. So if he goes for over 1,000 yards, I definitely got to give you your props because a lot of people are saying that it's going to be Hayden Hurst. It's going to be Kyle Pitts. That's going to be the guys that's going to take the step forward now that Julio's gone. So you definitely the first one that I've heard say that Russell Gage is going to go for over 1,000. I could see it happening because last year he had over 700 yards receiving. So with Julio going, and Julio's good for at least 1,200 or 1,300 yards a year. So he could be the guy that, you know, takes that next step and goes for over 1,000 yards receiving this year. But I'm really interested to see what Kstlyz brought up, that offensive line. And what the position I'm looking at is the center position, because Alex Mack is one of the greatest centers of all time. So Hennessy has some real big shoes to fill. Like, we keep talking about Julio Jones, but that center, that's the key position on that offense, on that offensive line, that make all of the calls and stuff like that. And I think that that's a player that's been kind of overlooked is Alex Mack going over to the 49ers. He's a guy, when we brought him in 2016, helped us get to a Super Bowl. And we kind of had no worries at that center position since he's been here, other than when we had Todd McClure, who was here years ago. You know, switching over to a guy like Alex Mack, who's pretty much a perennial Pro Bowler since he's been in the NFL. I'm really interested to see what those coaches can do with the guys we have in that battle at center, whether it's Dahlman or whether it's Hennessy. Right now, it's looking like it's going to be Hennessy, but that's the position that I'm highlighting in this training camp to see who steps up, especially in these preseason games, because last year we didn't have preseason. So good news is this year we're going to see some preseason action, and we're going to see a real battle of which player is gelling with Matt Ryan, gelling with that offensive line. And Arthur Smith talked about that center has to be that guy that's vocal and that understands. You're the heartbeat of that offensive line at the center position. So I'm really interested to see if Hennessy can step up or if Dahlman, which guy's going to, you know, be that alpha male on that offensive line.
Absolutely.
And I want to see Mike ready, but he might not be. He's still on auto-tune, sounding like T-Pain.
Am I safe? I don't know if I'm safe or not.
Yes, you are safe. You are safe. We hear you now. Yes.
Maybe I'm on my phone, but maybe it's the computer. Look, StreamYard. Look, man, I'm gonna put out an APB on y'all. I'm gonna put out y'all tripping. All right, y'all gotta let your man be great. But Jake, what I was trying to say. Well, I'll scratch that. All right, I want to kind of pick up where Jude left. I kind of disagree with that, Jude. I disagree for the simple fact that we have a veteran quarterback that knows what he wants to do, and this offense is not going to be an aggressive offense. As far as the same play call, it's like I would worry a lot more if we weren't going to throw the ball as much, and you have tight ends like Hayden Hurst and Kyle Pitts, so you're going to use them, you know, to kind of attack the middle of the field. So I think the burden, as far as the passing game, is something that we have to worry about. I think he's really gonna shine in the running game, and that's something that, you know, that right there. If you get the proper help from Chris Lindstrom, because I think Chris Lindstrom is a star. I think he's a star. I think he's obviously a Pro Bowler in my opinion. But being that you play in the offense with Dirk Cutter, former friend is what we call him, I really think the transition is going to be a lot smoother with offensive line coach Ledford and, you know, a guy like Arthur Smith. And you kind of, I think Chris Lindstrom he kind of brought up that he understands the mindset of what an offensive lineman is. So I think it's going to be a lot easier than what we think.
I trust Dwayne Ledford. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a really smart guy. I got faith in him.
Absolutely.
Anybody else want to follow up? We're going to jump right into defense right after that. Anybody else had anything to add to it?
I got something quick to add. I just want to add something real quick. And I want to kind of get Jake's thoughts on this. And I've talked about this since Julio Jones left. I feel like if you have a great play caller, it makes up for losing great players. Like I said numerous times, I'd rather have a great play caller than necessarily great players. I feel like great coaching, you can't teach that. You can have all the talent. We've had all the talent in the world on offense. Last year, we had all the talent in the world. We couldn't put the ball in the end zone, in the red zone. And I believe that came down to play calling, being creative. We seen the Tennessee Titans. To me, they want their most talented team. Yeah, they had A.J. Brown. Yeah, they have Henry. But after those two guys, those tight ends, to me, Jonnu Smith, no disrespect, I really feel like Arthur Smith helped him get a new contract. Even Ryan Tannehill, no disrespect, I don't think that Ryan Tannehill is a great quarterback. I think he's average. So I feel like if you have a great play caller, if you have a great play caller, I think they can make your team look a lot better. And I feel like Arthur Smith inherited a lot more weapons here in Atlanta, even without Julio Jones, than Tennessee. Other than Derrick Henry, I think we have better wide receivers and tight end talent, just all around.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what talent with no coaching did, for the past 3 years. So
yeah.
That's the key word, coaching.
Yeah, that's why we got Nit in that phone. We like I said, Farmer Fran, which is Dirk Cutter, Gilbert, which is Dan Quinn, and Screaming Norman Smiley, that's Raheem Morris. It wasn't gonna work. But I'm expecting special teams to play a big part on this team this year. I don't know if we're gonna talk about special teams later on, but I'm just gonna put that out there.
You can add that too. It's just pretty much was defense, and if you want to, whatever additional, then of course follow it up with some Hawks talk, and we're done.
Well, I can't wait for that part.
So, whatever you had to say about that in defense.
That was tough. I thought it was a winnable game. A lot of weird stuff happened. Obviously, the night, the game 2 was just a beatdown. But hey, they were down 2-1 to the Sixers. You win on Tuesday. I think you still got a chance. I think the Sixers, they obviously had their flaws. I think the Bucks have their flaws. I think Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, one or the other is going to give you, something almost every night. And you have to respond to one of those guys. I think Solomon Hill out there at this point is out of the question. You got to get Cam Reddish in there. You got to get maybe even Chris Dunn. I mean, you can't just keep doing what you've been doing. Coach Buzz is not a guy who adjusts very well. And if you can come out and you can out-coach him, which he did in game, which Coach McMillan did in game 1, I think you can win. I think you can win the series. So I think it just comes down to some coaching adjustments. I think the Hawks are just fine. Hopefully Trey's ankle is okay, because if it's not, that's, obviously.
I think it's from what I saw in the injury report, it's a bone bruise or something like that with him, and he's pretty much listed as questionable at this point.
Yeah, and if he plays, I don't think he's going to be 100%, which is just the story of this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Uncle Hill in the starting lineup ain't working. We're going to have to do another adjustment. As you see, Jake, I got nicknames for damn near everybody that I talk about. So, Uncle Hill ain't working. But I think the main adjustment that they need to do is, one thing I've noticed about the Greek Freak is he does the same move every time, but it's like you can't stop it. But I think what they might have to do is go back to that game plan they had against New York and kind of take away that left side. That's a lot easier said than done. But I'm just saying this dude goes left all the time, so I think that adjustment needs to be made right there. Trey Young is gonna be fine. I'm good.
I'd like to see some more. I'd like to see some more Big O on Giannis. I think he's kind of built for that. My comp for him coming out of school was Bam Adebayo, and I think he could develop into that type of player. But I think he's good to guard Giannis. I don't know. Like I said, you got to try something different at this point.
Man, let's be real. Giannis fucking sucks. That dude has absolutely no jump. He has absolutely no jumper. He can't play defense. All he does is he's just long as hell. I mean, look, I don't want to disrespect the man, and that's probably too late, but he does the same thing over and over. Like, what? Where's the deep? It frustrates me to see this. People play the exact same defensive style on him, and no one makes an adjustment. That's coaching. And like, when are we going to stop him from going left? Get into his body. Get into his body. I've yet to see anybody get into his body. Whether you get fouls, I think that's irrelevant. You cannot allow him to just do whatever. The dude is like 7'12". If he gets in front of the goal, all he had to do is throw the ball in the hoop. So I need to see more physical. I want to see the Hawks be more physical with Giannis. You be more physical with Giannis. I believe, I truly believe, because I don't think Chris Middleton is one of those guys who can take over a game, despite what we saw. I think last night was just one of those games where the Hawks just totally lost their confidence, seeing their leader going out, and Chris Middleton was like, okay, I'm going to take advantage of it. All right. The Hawks weren't scoring, and if they can be more physical with Giannis, I truly believe that the Hawks can do. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's one of those things where we've seen that work against the Bucks in the playoffs before. You flood the middle, make them, make somebody else beat you. That's the real thing. Get physical with Giannis, make somebody else beat you. If he's outside the restricted area, he's not going to do much damage to you. I think it can be fixed, and it sucks not having DeAndre Hunter. It really sucks. I think he's probably, the second, third best player on this team. Maybe Okongwu can fill in a little bit. He's much of a wing guy. Giannis can still, step out and knock one down every now and then. But it's just frustrating with all the injuries. I think this team, as a complete team, defensively can hang with him. Even, Bogdanovich isn't even 100%. It's just frustrating because I know they can make the adjustments. When they're healthy, I know they can make these adjustments and beat them. We're just gonna have to see.
Y'all hit
All right,
the nail
Jake,
on the head.
and we skipped over. I was trying to transition over to offense and defense, but we didn't. We kind of skipped to Hawks. But just the last one about defense. If anything you want to add to Dan P's, Dan P's defense so far, what do you think he's going to, make an impact on there as far as, because we hear Arthur Smith, we see Terry, but Dean Pease, what do you think he's going to bring?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what he can do with these off-ball linebackers. Obviously, that's one of the biggest strengths of the entire team. You got Michael Walker had a fantastic, I call him Michael Walker, fantastic rookie year. Deion Jones, Pro Bowl level player. Foyesade Oluokun, fantastic player. He liked to switch around like guys with Jayon Brown, and he liked to use those guys in a variety of ways. And I think that's something that's been missing from this team. Obviously, a lot of versatility in the secondary, guys who can play safety. Darren Hall, he reminds me a lot of DeMonte Casey. Little corner flexibility, little safety flexibility. Guys that you can just move all over the field. And I think that part of the defense will be improved just from scheme. Hopefully, he can keep up some pressure because you can't just tell Dante Fowler to pin his ears back and get home 13 times in a year because he's not going to do it. I don't mean that in an insulting way. That's just the reality of it. It's right. You got to hope that coaching takes over as far as pass rush goes. But I think as far as linebackers and secondary, I think he's going to make an immediate impact. And I think the defense, I don't think it'll be, a great unit, but I do think it will be improved.
Sweet.
Okay, Jake. And we are coming up on an hour. Didn't want to hold you up. I know you probably got some food waiting on you and everything else. So I just wanted to kind of let you know we're getting to the close of this. So is there anything else you want to add additional to this to, let us know where you can be found, things of that nature at this portion?
Yeah, my personal account, Twitter and Instagram @Can'tGuardJake, and we're over at @SportsTalkATL. That's where all of our articles are. You can read my stuff. Sometimes I tweet off the account, not that often, but mostly for my own. If you want to hear me blab a little bit more, probably now you're probably sick of it at this point, but.
Oh no, we love
guys,
it.
this has been fun. No, this has been great. I love it.
On.
This is awesome. Yeah, this is great.
And what's your on YouTube?
Don't tell Carolee I said that.
You mad at my dude, man. I love that, man.
Matt's great. Yeah, Matt is great. Talking Birdie. You can find us on YouTube. You find us on there as well. We do a weekly. We're doing Talks Tuesday, so that'll be out about Thursday.
So it's Tuesdays for you?
Typically, we record Tuesdays. They'll be out on Wednesday, but this week, since it's the Hawks game, it'll be Wednesday this week, and they'll come out on Thursday.
Okay, so we'll definitely make sure your link is in the chat so people can follow you guys. And please, everybody that's here right about now, go over there. We'll have the link on the description and the videos after this viewing. But please go over there and give them some subscribes, some likes, check them out, watch all the videos, just get them, you know, all the love you're showing us right about now. And we just want to say we appreciate you, Jake. Some people saying Jake from State Farm. We know we had to do that. So
I gotta say this: if you guys don't follow Jake on Twitter, man, trust me, you will love and enjoy him on Twitter. He holds.
Mike, you're gonna make me blush, man.
He reminds me of myself. He does not hold back, man. He does not hold back. And anybody that's, you know, any remotely like me, you know, I already love it. So trust me, you will definitely enjoy him on Twitter. So follow him on Twitter. Can't Guard Jake, man. I promise you'll enjoy it.
All right. Well, we appreciate you, Jake. You had your finger up. You had something else, or we just go ahead and let you bounce off and go
That's
eat.
it. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate it, Jake.
Thank you guys for having me so much. Yeah, I honestly loved it. Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely.
You're welcome, and welcome anytime you just are bored yourself. You're welcome here as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys so much. I'll definitely come back on during the season, depending on how it's going. I guess we'll see what kind of show we get. All
right, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, peace.
Exactly. Depending how it goes. Thank you, Jake. All right, that's a good one, people. We didn't want to hold them up too much, so thank y'all for tuning in for that portion of it. But of course, it's regular smuggler after this point, so it's free for all. Mike is back. Get your face back on the screen, sir, if you can.
I can't do that.
Let's keep it moving. We still got a show to do.
This internet. Okay. I don't know what's going on. My computer is up, but I just don't trust it right now. I don't want to be up here. Hey, I'm gonna get y'all ass back. I saw them fucking comments in there. I'm getting y'all asses back for that. I'm roasting every last one of y'all. Y'all think y'all safe? Hell no.
Buy me a drink.
Payback. Payback is coming. And payback is coming.
Well, yeah, go ahead, y'all. This is pretty much y'all want to just throw it to the Q&A because I know a lot of people have some questions. We can just kind of put it there, and then there you go. I'm gonna make sure I get Jake's link and everything and put that in the chat while y'all kind of going through the motions. I'll be right back, people. Let's go ahead. Put your questions in the chat. If you got anything you want to add, go ahead. Let's do it.
Only thing I want to say here is I got some homework for the people. I want y'all to go ahead and look up special team statistics for the Falcons last season.
Oh God, why did you bring that up again? You okay.
Man,
Blackheart. Oh, you better. Oh, y'all think I'm joking? I'm flaming everybody. Yeah. No. Look, I'm like the Undertaker. I don't forget nothing, bro. I'm coming back from the dead.
You gonna come back with the eyes going to the back of his head and stuff.
Right.
The Brian people said no. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Y'all don't want to see that. We had a combination. Get this. I'm gonna say at return yardage for the Falcons last year. We had a combination of punt and kickoff return of 430 yards.
That's oh my God. That's why he should get fired just because of that right there. Right there. Like what coach does that? Like what real coach does that? You're not even thinking about special teams. Like you so comfortable that you aren't even thinking about returning the ball. Like that's honestly the philosophy with Dan Quinn, and that's the reason why he's gone. That's why he's no longer a head coach. He's forever at this point. He's a defensive coordinator. That's what they need. That's what they need to be. And right now, he needs Dallas to really I don't know why he chose Dallas, but because that's the worst team. If you want to resurrect your career, what the fuck you going to Dallas for? Like, let's be real, man.
What you got on that, Drew?
I mean, you already know what I feel about. You already know how I feel about Dallas. I already said we're gonna probably drop like 40 on them when we play Dallas because unless Dan Quinn, when he was fired, actually watched the NFL games and learned how to make adjustments, a lot of these coaches are hard-headed, especially these older coaches. They feel like their scheme, they don't want to make adjustments. So with the whole Dan Quinn thing, I mean, we all know that the Dallas Cowboys have been underachieving for pretty much my whole lifetime. I'm 32, and they haven't done pretty much nothing since the early 90s. Pretty much my whole lifetime, they've been losers. So Dallas, I mean, at this point, other than their popularity, I mean, that's why when I see like shows like First Take and Undisputed, where they talk about Dallas all the time, other than, you know, them being a $1 billion organization and Jerry Jones being one of the richest, you know, people on earth. Other than that, I mean, the Dallas Cowboys are a joke to me. Like, I really, you know, the Dallas Cowboys, I don't expect them to do much of anything, especially on the defensive side of the ball. No disrespect, but we've talked about Dallas numerous times. DeMarcus Lawrence, all of those guys they have over there that's underachieving. You might as well say he's related to Pat McKinley. Like, he got a $100 million contract, but what is he doing over there? Like, a lot of the players that they got are underachieving. It's pretty much similar to what we've seen here in Atlanta. We talked about it where guys got contracts and they didn't perform up to par. I mean, you look at the guys that they signed. Amari Cooper, he hasn't lived up to that contract that he got. Jalen Smith hasn't lived up to that big contract that he got. Ezekiel Elliott seems like he got fumbleitis after he got that contract. So, I mean, over there in Dallas, I don't expect much of anything, to be honest with you. Like I said, unless Dan Quinn changes his ways, I really don't expect Dallas to do much of anything, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Now, their offense, they're going to put up points because they have a high-powered offense. Like, if you look at the CeeDee Lambs, the CeeDee Lambs of the world, and the guys that they have on their team, they're loaded on offense. So I expect their offense to put up points. I just don't expect them to win a lot of games because I don't believe in their coaching staff. We talked about it. They're snake bitten like we were last year. They don't understand how to win games. They don't understand clock management, and they pretty much shoot themselves in the foot. And that's why Stephen A. Smith always, what is his favorite line? What can go wrong will go wrong when you're a Dallas Cowboy. So I'm not expecting nothing out of Dallas. I'm not expecting anything out of Dallas.
Oh man, there's a couple questions in here. Like I said, we can go ahead and get, because this is the first one. I'm gonna get Antonio Holloway on this one. He said, what would y'all like to see from the team during training camp? I want to see some fights. I want to hear somebody get bust in the mouth because they got scored on or they played on. Because if y'all notice a trend, when there's a big ass brawl in a training camp, that team usually go ahead and go to the playoffs. So I need a fight.
We're gonna see that. You already know. You already know we're gonna see that, man. And what we're gonna see, I'm expecting our training camp is intense competition, because we haven't seen that over the last couple years with Dan Quinn. Like, with us doing those joint practices, I think with the Dolphins, that's when you see those type of fights and things of that nature break out. So I'm expecting, with a coach like Arthur Smith and them bringing that toughness back, a coach like Dean Pease, I think when they put them pads on, it's going to get real out there, especially in those joint practices, because you're out there in the hot sun pretty much all day, and somebody going to get upset. Once somebody get beat on a rep, you know how that go. It's going to get real out there. So I'm expecting intense competition, because nobody's job is safe at this point. Everybody's out there competing, for a spot, especially if you want to be a starter. So I expect it to be a lot of blood, sweat, and tears out there on that field.
Hey,
one guy's Mike.
huh? Yeah, you froze for a second.
I'm about to say, no. I was gonna ask you what'd you take on that?
Would y'all like to see the team from training camp? Get the fuck out of training camp. I mean, I don't want to see no damn training camp. Look, get out of training camp healthy. It's really that simple. I don't want nothing to do with training camp, and players don't want anything. That's why you see guys like Julio holding out. They don't want nothing to do with training camp, because honestly, mini camp, you got rookie mini camp, and you got training camp, and then you got preseason. Excuse me, it's too long. So I just want to see them get out. Like, I can understand if it's just training camp itself, but it's just so many. It's like you gotta. I forget what. I think it's like you got to go before mini camp or rookie mini camp. I think it's like you got to work out before, and then you got to go to rookie mini camp, and then it's mini camp, and then it's training camp. That's too much crap. So I just want to see them get out. Like I know a lot of people don't think so, but like you can even get hurt working out. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to see these guys get healthy and get out of training camp. So we won't have to, bring in a guy like Justin Houston, because someone got hurt. You know what I'm saying? I would still like to bring in Justin Houston, but like if someone, I don't want to bring him in under the condition that someone got hurt.
Yeah, that's agreeable on there. All right, Drew. I think this question is for you, man. Tony Rice said he thinks everybody's sleeping on Carolina. He said that defensive line and linebackers are good football players, and they drafted J.C. Horn. He said, "Your thoughts on their defense?"
Whoa. I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt you. We sleeping on Carolina. Do you see who their quarterback is? What the hell is good in the defense? He can't throw the damn ball. Well, look, Tony, I love you, dog, but sleeping on Carolina? Do you not see who the quarterback is? J.C. Horn, he's a great back. Look, he was great in college, but we always say this, and you guys, I want your opinion on it, but I like J.C. Horn. I love him coming out of college, but that's college. And this is why guys like Arthur Smith, like you got all these rookies running their mouth talking about, oh, I'm this and I'm that, and they dancing, they prancing. But look, these are some dogs in the NFL. They ain't gonna let no rookie come in and just like, hey, he's gonna have to fight for it. Like JC's gonna have to fight for it. He's going against guys like Michael Thomas, Calvin Ridley. Like these are established receivers. So like he's not gonna come in and like even AJ got worked, by Mike Evans. Like he had to earn his bones against Mike Evans. So it's like I like J.C. Horn, but I like the defensive line. But that's pretty much it, man. Like quarterback, you only go as far as your quarterback. And that dude ain't left the damn bus station yet. All right. Let's just be real. He ain't even left the damn bus station yet. So it's like I like Carolina defensively, but look. I would have took Justin Fields if I was the Carolina Panthers. I would have took Fields. They dropped the ball on that. I'm not trading for no damn. Look, you go ahead. Y'all go take that because I'm about to rant on this.
Nah, I mean, I kind of agree with what you're saying, Mike. And I talked about this a little bit on my show as well. I think Tony asked a question about Carolina. I think that their front seven, like I said before, Brian Burns, the defensive tackle that they have out of Auburn, I can't think of his name right now. Y'all know who I'm talking about, but they have a lot of Derek Brown. There you go. Yeah, his name was slipping. Yeah, Derek Brown. They're loaded on the front seven. I really think that the biggest hole on that defense is the secondary, and then finding somebody that can replace Luke Kuechly. Like they're struggling at that linebacker role. Like Shaq Thompson, yeah, he's decent, but he's Luke Kuechly was one of the greatest linebackers ever. So you're trying to replace one of the best, a Hall of Fame type linebacker, they haven't found that guy that can be that Mike linebacker, be that leader of that defense. So that's the biggest hole on that defense. And then as far as J.C. Horn goes, he's a rookie. Like Mike was saying, he's a rookie. And one thing, I love J.C. Horn. He was my cornerback one coming out of this draft class. Mm-hmm. But what makes me a little bit nervous about a guy like J.C. Horn is he gets a little grabby. And we know in the NFL, you can't touch nobody in the current NFL. Like he got away with a lot in college. He got away with grabbing guys and stuff like that. We see that a lot out of Lattimore that plays with the Saints. Everybody talks about how good of a corner Lattimore is. But in the last couple of seasons, he's being called for a lot of those unnecessary roughness and holding penalties. And that's something that J.C. Horn, I think, is going to struggle with because J.C. Horn doesn't have great quick twitch speed. And we have a lot of quick twitch wide receivers like Calvin Ridley. I think Calvin Ridley's going to work him. If he has to go up against Calvin Ridley, they gonna talk about it. Calvin Ridley is a maestro when it comes to running routes. It's nobody that can hold Calvin Ridley one-on-one. Nobody. And the way that the league calls it now for corners, you need help over the top. It's no way to cover a guy like Calvin Ridley. He's a master route runner. So I think a guy like J.C. Horn, I think, is kind of going to struggle just for the mere fact that he's not used to that NFL speed. College and NFL is two different ball games. And we think that with A.J. Terrell, Mike talked about it. I talked about it last year. A.J. Terrell is a very aggressive corner, likes to jump routes and stuff. And what did we see last year? A lot of double moves on A.J. Terrell because he was biting, trying to get the interception, and guys would go right past him. And I think that that's something that J.C. Horn is going to struggle with out the gate. I think he's a great football player. He has, he's cut off that line. His father played in the league, Joe Horn. So he has the right pedigree. I think it's just going to take him some time to get used to the speed of the NFL game and understanding route concepts. Because we talked about it. Arthur Smith is a brilliant play caller. And there's a lot of brilliant play callers in the current NFL. So he's going to have to get used to the nuances of this game. You was a top dog in college, but this is a whole, it's levels to this. This is a whole new ball game, and this is a whole new level. So we're going to see what J.C. Horn can do. I believe in him. I believe that he has the confidence because I really feel like a lot of it is confidence. We've seen it with Isaiah Oliver. When he got put in that nickel role and he became more confident, we've seen what type of player he could be. So we're going to see what type of player J.C. Horn is. From what I've seen out of his college, he's a dog from what I've seen in college. But once he gets on this NFL and he gets beat a couple times by Calvin Ridley and these great wide receivers, we're going to see if he hangs his head or if he goes out there and compete. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to compete, but I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit as far as Carolina being a team that's going to compete. I really don't think that they're going to be a team that's going to compete for the NFC South crown. I will pump the brakes on that a little bit.
You gotta have that as your quarterback, man. I'm just
well, we don't damn know. The only thing I can say. J Rod talk about training camp gonna be interested. Yeah, like I said, that's just J Rod TV. That's AFN fam. Y'all make sure y'all show him some love over there on the Twitch side of the game too. And if he's still in here, he go ahead and put that Discord link in there again. I'm too lazy to scroll up and find it, but
oh man,
but Carolina, it's an interesting proposition. Like I said, we forgot to talk about what's his name, Jeremy Chin.
Jeremy Chin.
They had to move him to safety because that safety.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's sleeping on Carolina's defense. Like Carolina has always been known for their defense. My issue is what's new? We know that's the way that they like to build their team is defensively. My question is always when you get, in those pressure situations, can your quarterback make those throws that's going to get you that extra first down, get you that extra 2-3 first downs? Because that's what this game is all about, getting making that one play when it's needed most to either keep your offense on the field or keep their offense off the field. And that's why I see that Sam Darnold, the dude is they pretty much gave him away they pretty much just gave him away. And maybe does he have the pedigree? Maybe does he have the talent? Yes, but arm talent is one thing, but you got to have being a quarterback. It's all mental. This is mental first. You got to be able to, and one aspect of a quarterback that a lot of people don't understand and they don't give a lot of credit to is, being able to, deal with these different personalities. And I think Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, who the hell could have got, Antonio Brown to act right? Only Tom Brady knows how to do that type of stuff. Only Drew Brees, only the great quarterbacks know how to do that type of thing. So it's you got a guy like DJ Moore. I don't think DJ is gonna want to listen to him. I'm just what the hell has he done? I would listen to Cam Newton I would rather have Cam Newton than Sam Darnold. I'm just gonna be real. And I'm not a Cam Newton fan. But you tell me Cam Newton, even at this point in his career, or Sam Darnold, I'm taking Cam.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Mike. I completely agree. Now, into the defense of a guy like Sam Darnold, he was in a trash organization with the New York Jets, but I agree with you. Like, I was against the whole getting rid of Cam. When they got rid of Cam, I was really shocked that they did it because I feel like Cam can win games when he's put in certain situations. Like, we're going to see this year with Cam Newton now having actual weapons around him. Like, we're going to see. I think the Pats win a lot more games. The Patriots win a lot more games this year. Last year, Cam ended up getting COVID, and then they just didn't have any weapons. Like, what pisses me off is everybody tries to wash over the fact that Tom Brady, him leaving the Pats, one of the reasons he wanted out of New England was they weren't building around him. We seen him go out the year before he was won the Super Bowl with the Bucks. We seen him get eliminated in the first round of the playoffs by the Titans. Like, they got, blown off the field. And one of the reasons was he didn't have the weapons. And that's what we talk about all the time when we bring up Matt Ryan. Everybody says, well, he has these, this weapon and that weapon. We seen Tom Brady without weapons. What did he look like his last year in New England? He looked horrible. He went out horrible. He went out throwing a pick six in the playoffs. Or throwing a pick six, I think it was, to one of his former teammates against the Titans. So it just goes to show you, like, you need those weapons around you to be able to win games. It takes a team. So I completely agree. If you told me, give me Sam Darnold or give me Cam Newton, I'm taking Cam Newton because to me, Cam Newton brings that bravado. He's a leader. And we've seen Cam Newton in 2015 lead them to a 15-1 season. Like, everybody forgets that wasn't that much long ago when Cam won the MVP of the league, went to a Super Bowl, and dang near carried that team the whole season. With those power runs and things of that nature. And that's the reason he's beat up now, because he had that great season where he was running the ball and he pretty much he was like on the top 100 that year. He was the first the number one player in the league at the time. So that just shows you how you can fall from grace. He went from being one of the best players in the league now to dropping out of the top 100 players. So that just goes to show you those running quarterbacks. We've talked about it numerous times here on AFN. All of you guys that like those quarterbacks that run the ball first and put their body on the line. Cam Newton's a big dude. If he's getting hurt, we talking about guys like Justin Fields. He's not Cam Newton size. Cam Newton is built like we talk about Derrick Henry. Cam Newton is just as big as a guy like Derrick Henry, and he had injuries. So that just goes to show you.
Yeah. Remember who they lost to in that 15-1 season. That's all I gotta say.
Here you go with that. You never let a shot go.
Hey, Luke Kuechly said himself. He said he thought he had the interception. He just looked up. He thought he saw the hands of God snatch the ball out of his hand.
Right.
But the thing about it is, we kind of know how that Carolina franchise is. They did the same thing with Steve Smith. It was the same thing with Cam Newton. They just wanted to get rid of him just because. And Sam Darnold brings, you better hope he don't see Ghost out there again, because if he do, but like I said, I kind of want to get into, and this is going to be I say the Falcons, the player that I need to watch, and I've said this a couple times, and it doesn't make any sense coming from us because we don't talk about this, but Sterling Hoffrichter, your ass better be getting some punts inside the 20. Help the defense, please.
Like I do. And that's what special teams. That's why I was like, that's one of them. If I'm gonna say this, that's one of the major reasons why Dan Quinn got fired. Because when you go back to even 16, like our special team was like, we had like he was aging, but he was still a very valuable returner. Like he could get you yards. He could get you those, those 25, 20-yard returns out of him. You know what I'm saying? Like you could get there from a guy damn, what's his name again? Jesus Christ. Uh, the returner at 16. I forget his name, but you can get those from him. You can get those from him, um, and get those extra 20, 30 yards, whatnot. You didn't get that from it. Every time you turn around, you got these guys holding up the fair catch sign. Like, look, bro, I'm like, you're not getting anywhere. You asking Matt Ryan to go 80 yards every chance out. Like, you got to use these guys. And we want to add to that, like, they weren't getting turnovers, so it put more burden on Matt Ryan. So he was really carrying the team, you know, offensively, defensively, and special teams. When you look at it, you asking Matt Ryan to be the offense, special teams, take up for, you know, for the offense, defense, and special teams. He was that guy. If Matt Ryan wasn't perfect, we weren't winning.
I actually, this is a very interesting question. I want to get y'all take on this one. Then we're gonna get to Clay Melton after this one. But he said, "Do you think we should sign David DeCastro or Mitchell Schwartz?"
I'll go real quick. Fuck no. I'm tired of these old motherfuckers.
You want some young blood out there?
I want some young blood in there. I'm tired of these old people. Good. All right, Drew, what you got?
Hey, look, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. I'm gonna be the angel. I'm not gonna say hell no. I'm gonna say nah, bro. I'm just like Mike just said. We tired of these old vet. Look, we just got rid of Jamon Brown and Carpenter. We don't need no more old. We don't need no more old veterans. I don't want none of these old guys on the roster. Richard Sherman, I don't want him. I've been seeing a lot of names popping up. I don't want none of these guys, man. Because what we don't realize is when you do that, when you bring in one of these veterans, you're stunting the growth for the guys that are here. Like, let's see what we got in these guys that we got. Like, we drafted Mayfield for a reason. That's the reason Quadra Olison, we don't know what we have. Like, one of the biggest issues with the Falcons right now, we don't know what we have. Just like Kstlyz said, we don't know. The reason he always say that is because the coaching staff we had. Do anybody really know how good John Comiskey really is? Does anybody know how good Marlon Davidson? Like, some of these guys, do anybody really know if Quadra Olison is a good running back or not? We haven't seen enough of these guys. So I feel like give these guys a fair chance to show what they can do before you just go out and spend money. That's the reason we're in cap hell right now, because we always chasing names. To be honest, we didn't need Todd Gurley last year when they went out and got him. He was just a nice name to bring in, and he was a guy that we brought in for marketing reasons, to sell jerseys and sell tickets. That's pretty much the reason they brought in Todd Gurley. So at this point, I'm saying we good. If the Steelers are letting go of this Castro, it's for a reason. The Steelers and the Chiefs don't let go of good offensive linemen. So they must know something that we don't know. Like, maybe it's something, you know, in his medicals. But if he still could play at a high level, I doubt the Steelers will be letting him walk, because the Steelers are one of those organizations where if you're playing at a high level, they're not letting you walk. When they had Pouncey on their team, they didn't let him walk. You know, they don't let their good players walk. So we should know if they let the Castro go, it's for a reason. So at this point, let's play the guys that we have. Let these guys, these young guys, battle it out. We have a number of guys that have shown us when they get opportunities, like guys like Gono. Matt Gono showed us last year when he got the opportunity, he could actually be better than Caleb McGarry. We really don't know, because I saw him shut down Joey Bosa. He shut that man down. So that just goes to show you, if you give these guys opportunities, you never know what you have. You may have a diamond in the rough.
I love the diamonds in the rough. We got Clay Melton here. He said, would you like to see a true running back by committee or a regular 1-2 punch? And who do you think starts? Mike, you want to go ahead and start off with that one right quick?
Well, I think we all can pretty much answer this. I don't believe in one back systems anymore. I think that's a surefire way to pretty much handicap your team, because, like I said, I don't know if I said it here, but I did a show with JT Sports earlier today. The video will be out soon, but I was telling him, it's like I think Arthur Smith got out of Tennessee right on time, because when I look at those numbers with even the guy like Derrick Henry, who's a physical specimen, like, people don't realize, like, Michael Turner was a physical specimen. Like that dude thighs. You think Mike Davis thighs? Like that dude was. Whew, like I said, that dude was juggernaut. Like that's who Turner was. Like that dude was like a bowling ball. Like you couldn't grab that dude by his legs. And you got like Derrick Henry, man, had 378 carries. Just think about that. 300. And I believe what 98, 99, Jamal Anderson had over 400 carries. That's too much for. You see what happened to Zeke? They ran Zeke into the ground, and the dude had like 4 or 5 fumbles against us. So it's like once these backs, these elite backs, like even Saquon Barkley, man, like New York ran him into the ground. He tore his ACL. Like you got to be careful with these backs, man. And I want a running back by committee. I'm never bringing. This is a rule for me. I never draft a running back out before the 3rd round. Never, ever.
Yeah, I agree. I think we on one accord when it comes to that. With the running backs, we see New England do it every year. They draft. My rule is this, Mike. You draft a running back every season because it's 7 rounds or 6, 7 rounds in the draft. You draft your running back. I don't care if you got a starter. Draft you another one because those guys get injured. The way that the game is set up, there's no rule when there's rules where you can't hit quarterbacks certain ways when you sack them. Now, there's no rules for running backs. It's a reason why Devontae Freeman only lasted about 3 good years because that man was getting hit in the head, getting hit everywhere. And that goes for any running back. I don't care how big, how strong you are. Everybody has a number of how many hits. Once you get to that number, you start having injuries. So I believe in running back by committee all day, every day. I don't care how good your running back is because Zeke Elliott, he's a bell cow, but we're seeing those hits are adding up. Another guy that we were talking about the Carolina Panthers, and I kind of wanted to hit on this point earlier.
Oh, man.
If you look at Christian McCaffrey, when he first came out, and this was before I was even doing YouTube, I was just, doing barbershop talk and talking with my friends about football. When he got drafted, I said Carolina made the wrong pick. I thought Carolina was going to draft Leonard Fournette. I felt like him and Cam Newton would have been a better fit because they ran a lot of power, a lot of downhill. And I didn't think that Christian McCaffrey, because of his size, I didn't think that he was going to hold up. And for the first, I'll say 2 or 3 seasons, or maybe even a little bit longer than that, maybe 3.5 seasons, Christian McCaffrey proved me wrong. He was able to run between the tackles. But we see now that those hits caught up with him. And you see a guy like Leonard Fournette hasn't taken the beating that a guy like Christian McCaffrey has taken. Like he's a bigger guy. And I felt like he would have been a better fit in Carolina's scheme of kind of ground and pound, play good defense. I really think that they drafted the wrong running back. I think they should have went for Leonard Fournette. Him and Cam Newton to me would have been a better 1-2 punch because he's a more physical back than a guy like a Christian McCaffrey. And now we've seen like the last 2 years, Christian McCaffrey's barely been on the field. He had those first like 3 or 4 good seasons, but those get caught up with him because his body, he's frail. He's just like Devontae Freeman. Christian McCaffrey is a small guy, point blank in the period.
Exactly. So Tony Wright asked a question here. I guess to me, he said, who would be the Falcons starting left guard? Jalen Mayfield. Now, they're not going to start him off right away. I think it's going to end up being Josh Andrews. Because we have to remember, Matt Garner went down with that injury. That's who they was expecting to be the left guard. But it just depends. Because the one thing that I can't say about Josh Andrews, I know a lot of us don't really see much in him. You can't find nothing on him. The only thing you just see is his name.
Right.
But the thing about it, he's been around the game for a while, so he got that veteran presence and leadership in the locker room. So they're going to start Josh Andrews, and it's just going to be his job to lose. That's the best way I can say it, because I can't tell you what the hell he good at. No, ain't nobody tell you what he good at. But he's just a locker room presence. And I believe that's how I believe.
Yeah, I don't think you bring in a guy like that for no reason. Like, you brought him in, he has some value for them. And like I said before, earlier, is that when you have a veteran quarterback like Matt Ryan knows what he wants and how he wants his offense to run. And that's the thing. It's like, yeah, Arthur Smith is going to call the plays, but he's going to call plays to Matt Ryan's strengths. So it's like Matt Ryan is going to, he's going to call out the signal as far as who's blitzing and who's not. So I don't necessarily think and that's why I don't think, as far as like my only issue with Hennessy is pass protection. Like, obviously that's pass protection, but when it makes it a lot easier when you're running the ball and you have a veteran quarterback. So I don't think he'll struggle like a Peter Cons, like like those younger centers and whatnot. So like the transition for him will be a lot easier. And I think he'll kind of pick up after week 5. That's when offensive linemen start to get their cohesion and chemistry together. So, there are going to be some struggles, that without a doubt. We kind of saw that during the season last year with our offensive line, Caleb McGarry. Those guys actually played well together, and like that's another thing. Like with Caleb McGarry, it's like people like not just Caleb McGarry. You got people still feel as though that Jake Matthews isn't the top tackle. I totally disagree with that. But when you have former friend throwing the ball 50 times a damn game, it's more room for a disagreement. Oh, not disagreement, but you're not going to see the best consistently. You're not going to be able to hide their flaws. It's like when you throwing the ball, there's more room for error.
Yeah, I completely I think you hit it right on the nail on the head, Mike, when you're talking about simplifying. I think that Arthur Smith is going to really simplify things for the offensive line and for Matt Ryan. And I think that was one of the biggest issues with Dirk Cutter, Farmer Friend, whatever you guys want to call him. I really think that was one of the biggest issues when you're throwing the ball, it's a lot more moving parts on the offensive line. Because when you have teams blitzing, it's like, okay, it's a lot more thinking involved, where when you're running the ball a lot, it's kind of like, we're going to run this way, and we have them on their heels. We know where the hole is supposed to be. We're going to block down on this player. We're going to have a guy pull here, where when you're actually dropping back the pass and you're pass protecting, you're basically on your heels, and you have to figure out where that pressure is coming from. And that takes a lot more communication than when you're running the ball down somebody's throat. So I think Arthur Smith's going to simplify a lot of that, especially for a guy like Matt Hennessy. So I agree. Like, it's going to be a lot of going downhill. It's not going to be a lot of our guys on the back of their heels trying to figure out, okay, where this pressure coming from. Unless we're down, big in a game, which I don't see us doing that, because I really think that this offense is going to be a lot more ball control, and that's going to help our defense as well stay off the field, which that was something that Dirk Cutter made our defense look a lot worse. We always talk about we were the 5th worst passing defense in NFL history. Well, that's because they was always on the doggone field, because we can never extend drives. So, I mean, if you're always on the field, you're going to look bad. Teams going up and down the field on you. I mean, that's what I say. Like, coaching can make your team look a lot worse. And I think that the coaching didn't help at all either, as Dirk Cutter throwing the ball on the 3 straight downs, incomplete. Okay, you got a sip of Gatorade, defense back on the field type deal. So we seen the defense on the field way too much last year. And that's the reason why fatigue played a factor. And that's why I say that they did a good job of bringing in depth. Because if you don't play ball control, or you get behind in these games, that's when you're gonna need that depth that we were talking about on all of those positions, the secondary, the defensive line, where you don't want to see those guys wear out and things of that nature. So I do think that Arthur Smith and his coaching staff, Dean Pease, they're going to simplify things up front and make it a lot more easy for these guys, and just be extra aggressive, go downhill. It don't take a lot of thinking when you're going downhill and you're throwing the first punch.
Yeah, I totally agree. Go ahead, Kstlyz.
You said the right word when you throw the first punch.
All right.
You can't be the get hit man out here. You got to hit somebody.
Right.
Y'all better listen to that 3 6 Mafia song. Hit a motherfucker. That's what they need to be this year.
I bet you won't hit him,
motherfucker. Hit him. That's what we need this year. Like I said, when you spending your time being the get hit man, that's exactly what we saw last year. We were
You
the get
ducking
hit.
and dodging. You seeing ghosts, and like that's what come down to it, man. You start seeing ghosts. You start thinking, oh, what if this guy do this and do like? Look, no, you're not worried about anything when you aggressive. When you out smash mouth people, like, look, what's in front of me? That's what's in front of me. And King running the ball furthest.
The
longevity of your quarterbacks, sad to say, but there's a valid reason why teams don't pay running backs big money because the majority can easily be replaced with one or another. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Like that's I think that's what really killed us. If I was to pinpoint one particular move that really screwed us, is that when we signed Devontae Freeman to that $42 million. Like that right there, it singled out this offensive line. Like it made it seem as though like Devontae Freeman was the reason why they were as good as they were, and it wasn't. Like he was a part of it. Like it was even a running back by committee. I thought that was just like it was a wrong move to do. He shouldn't have gotten $42 million. I don't know why they did that, because you can get another guy. Like we had another guy like Ito Smith who was doing exactly what Devontae Freeman. Maybe he wasn't as flashy, but he did exactly what Devontae Freeman was doing. We didn't have a guy that would replace Tevin Coleman. And honestly, I thought he was a more valuable piece, but being that we gave Devontae Freeman that $42 million, you couldn't keep Coleman. So I'm not paying. Like it's to the point for me, and like I said, I think we all can agree. I'm not paying running backs anything over $20 million. If you ask me, I'm not paying over $20 million for a running back. I'm just not doing it.
Now, I want to pick up where you left off too, Mike, because I think that this is key too, where you say where we went wrong is paying Devontae Freeman. I think another way where we went wrong was on the offensive line. I don't think that people realize Andy Levitre and Chris Chester, those guys at that guard position. We picked those guys up as veterans in 2016. I believe Chris Chester retired after that Super Bowl that we lost. He came over from Washington. Yep. And then we traded from Andy Levitre from the Titans, ironically. Those two guys were staples. Like when we brought those guys in, they solidified that offensive line. They weren't Pro Bowl players, but they were guys that were veterans. They were guys that did their job, knew their job, and they were just like the pieces that we need. There was those crucial pieces that we need. And I think that that's another thing that we've missed as Falcons fans and as a team. I think another thing that we did wrong, we let go of a lot of guys that did the dirty work. Me and Mike talk about this all the time in Kstlyz. We talked about the Dontari Poles. We talked about the Rashid Hagemans, but it's three guys on that offensive side that we forget about.
Oh my God!
The fullback,
Patrick DeMarco.
How great he was in 2016.
Even Levine Tololo, he was a guy that did a lot of the dirty work.
Yeah, we missed those guys. Andy Levitre started to have those injuries. I believe in 2017, he started to have injuries. And after he went down, we've never been solidified at that guard position.
Right.
But Patrick DeMarco, we didn't pay him. And then another guy that I think we've been kind of looking over or glossing over as well is Kenjon Barner. Last season, I don't know why we didn't pay Kenjon Barner. We've been talking about special teams. He returned one of those punts back for a touchdown, and we hadn't returned a punt for a touchdown in years. For whatever reason, they didn't want to pay him the pennies that he wanted, to bring him back. And
$2 million, $3 million. Like, man, what in the
right? And he was a great return man. One thing I liked about Kenjon Barner, he wasn't afraid to return it, even if he had a guy coming down on him, you know, guys, those gunners coming down the field on him, he still would try to return it. And he was one of those guys that's fearless. And that's what you need. You need back there, you know, taking punts and kickoff returns. You need a guy that's fearless, like a Cordell Patterson that we brought in, where he's not afraid to return it out of his own end zone. Like, he's not afraid. He's going to bring that ball out. And that's what we've kind of missed with a guy like Brandon Powell. And then you were saying in 2016, Mike, I think he was thinking of Eric Weems. In 2016, in 2016, he was horrible. He used to actually have some speed, but in 2016, he was horrible. What kind of saved us?
He was better than what we got now.
Yeah. I mean, anybody's better than Brandon Powell. Brandon Powell was horrible. Brandon Powell.
Oh my God, that dude was trash, man.
Let me repeat that. The Falcons had kick return yardage last year, 396 yards in 16 games. Let that sink in for a second.
How many did Cordero Patterson have?
He had that in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that tells you everything. Yeah, that's bad, bro.
That is terrible, bro. That is bad. And like I said, we have to blame Smithers for that, man, because Smithers didn't want to fort the money over for, like you said, the penny. Because what'd you say? Don Terry Poe was just another $8 million.
$8 million. That's all he was asking. He didn't ask for the 13, 12. I believe it's 12 or 13 when he asked for before. He asked for $8 million, and then we ended up getting that in Carolina, a 2-year deal for like $10 million. So like he got that in 2 years with Carolina. So it's like we could have gave him that. We could have broke it down to like, 2 years, $4 million, 2 year, $5 million, a year. But like, we didn't want to do that. We would rather pay Muhammad Sanu. Like I said, I love Muhammad Sanu, but we didn't need Muhammad.
Yeah, because I remember that. Yeah, because I remember that DeMarco contract. It was, like I said, he was looking for like 3 years, $12 million. They didn't want to pay that.
Like
$12 million a year. I said, bro, y'all Deion Sanders in it. Y'all doing the Deion Sanders thing all over again, bro.
Man, you end up giving like some Ricky Ortiz. You couldn't even hold the ball.
Look, we had a motherfucker Ricky Ortiz. For a lot of the Falcon fans that don't remember, we had Ricky Ortiz. Exactly. Nobody know who the fuck that is. But at the end of the day, like I said, that's the Simpsons regime. That's what we're gonna call them, the Simpsons regime. They ain't nothing but a bunch of cartoon characters. Right. And what they looking for now, they're just looking for guys that want it. Like you said, we got Lee Smith. We got the Mountain Man now. We got somebody that looks intimidating that can play both fullback. And like I said, I ain't gonna shit on Keith Smith like that too often. I just shit on him because this motherfucker ain't had no business running no hook routes for 10 yards every goddamn 3 plays. But he wasn't bad. And then I'm going to get back to what you said about Tevin Coleman. Remember that 2016 season, for the people in the back, Tevin Coleman ran for over 500 yards and caught the ball for over 500 yards. So by having a dynamic guy like that, Devontae Freeman had plenty of room because it was like, hey, he ain't putting no taxing on his body.
Yeah,
I'd rather have a running back that's one cut and go instead of somebody that's jump cutting in the backfield looking for something to get open.
Exactly.
Like we said, running back by committee. At the end of the day, the Coleman and Freeman, they were good playing off of each other. Freeman was good at those jump cuts, and you had a change of pace back in Tevin Coleman that was going to come in one cut and go. So you had, a multitude of guys that you could use, and Shanahan knew how to use them. You know what I'm saying? He used those guys in the right way. So at the end of the day, we keep saying running back by committee, and that's what we had at that time. But it's just like ever since then, I blame it on play calling. Ever since then, the play calling has just been terrible at the end of the day. Because we had guys that were capable. We had Shanahan here, with even the guys that we had, Ito Smith, Brian Hill. We see what he's doing with the 49ers. That dude will put anybody back there at that running back position, and they produce. because of his play calling, his brilliant play calling.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Like y'all ready to go. Y'all sound like y'all ready to go. What's going on? What's going on, people?
You get too many questions. Everybody coming in with comments. Like I said, yeah, Free did do way too much dancing back there. He was looking like Turbo from Breaking. If y'all ain't seen that movie,
Too much dancing.
Yeah.
You, Reggie. Thank you, Reggie.
She said, "Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back." Now get your ass up out here.
I'm gonna keep doing this because you said it.
Oh, whatever. Whatever. So we're gonna go ahead and wind it down here for the night.
Go ahead and wind it down for the Monday evening because we got quite a bit of a lineup this week. So, of course, you already know how it goes. So let's go ahead and close it on out here. So, with that being said, people, we appreciate you guys joining us earlier with Jake from Sports Talk ATL. I did put the link in the chat. Make sure you guys follow them. They're at like 26 subscribers. Please get them over to 1,000 if you can ASAP. Go on over there, check them out. They're newly to this YouTube thing. But of course, Jake, you can find him on Can't Guard Jake. Is that the
Can't Guard
hashtag
Jake
of his Twitter? Can't Guard Jake on Twitter. He's amazing. He's crazy, just like Mike a little bit. So you kind of got a little snippet of what he is all about. But definitely go check him out on their show. I think he said maybe Wednesday they might have something uploaded. But check them out. Definitely some past things. Thank you, Boost Wayne. And other than that, that's all I got. People, subscribe to Atlanta Falcons Nation, Miss Maggie T. I'm actually looking into drop a Hawks video soon. Just talk about them a little bit. And then of course, we got another game coming up for the Hawks. Home. We'll see how that goes. But I appreciate you guys. I want to hold up y'all too much. Who else got this going? Go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and hop to it. We appreciate each and every one of you guys for joining us each and every Monday. We're kicking it with Kstlyz. This Wednesday, of course, what's the word? Dirty Bird. I'll be doing my show at 7 p.m. This Wednesday. And since we've been getting a lot of questions about the NFC South, Tony Wright loves to bring up those Carolina Panthers. This week's show, I'm going to be talking about the NFC South. So not just the Atlanta Falcons, but we're going to talk about the teams that I think are going to compete for the NFC South crown this upcoming season. The Saints, I think, have won it 3 years. Has it been 3 or 4 years in a row? I know they've won it, I think, 3 years at least in a row.
3 years. Yeah,
3 years in a row. So it's time for the Falcons to, take back over the South. But I'm going to talk about that this coming Wednesday. We're going to talk about the NFC South crown, what teams I feel like is going to compete for that crown this year. But with that being said, I'm going to have a lot more content coming for you guys. I've kind of slowed down on some of the content on my channel because it's been really slow. Hasn't been a lot of news.
It really has just been kind of dead still right now in this off season.
Yeah, but I'll still drop a couple videos for you guys, maybe some short videos here and there. But you guys also drop questions in the chat. Let me know if it's actually some content that you want me to drop, whether it's on a player that's still out there in free agency or whether it's just something about our Atlanta Falcons you want me to talk about. But right now it's really slow on the Atlanta Falcons news. But things are getting ready to ramp up when training camp kicks off. So you guys just stay calm. Buckle up because we in for a great season, and check out these Hawks. The Hawks are doing their things in the actual NBA playoffs. So you guys check them out. Go support them. Trae Young. Let's see if these guys can get a game at home because last game that won't hit. So I'm gonna need them to get it together. And y'all talked a little bit about the Bucks, and all I'm gonna say is this: my strategy, if I'm the Atlanta Hawks, double team Giannis. Make Giannis a playmaker. Make him a passer. Do not allow him to drive the basketball. Make him kick it to Middleton or make him kick it to one of those other guys. And if they can beat you from three, the Connaughtons of the world, I forget the other guy that they have to come off the bench. Forbes. If Forbes can beat you by shooting a three, if Brook Lopez beats you by shooting a three, we'll live with that. But don't allow Giannis to drive that basket to the bucket and put you in foul trouble. keep him off, keep him away from the bucket and keep him off the basketball. Because most of the time when Giannis has the ball, he's at the top of the key, driving to the bucket. So double team him, just like they double team Trey. He come off that screen and roll, double team him, make him a playmaker. And I think that you'll have a better game. Y'all have a better game against those Milwaukee Bucks. But with that being said, like I said, we appreciate you guys. And I'm going to go ahead and kick this thing over to Mad Mike. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys' support. Not just here at Atlanta Falcons Nation, Jew Talk Sports, Twisted Torch. Y'all know the whole lineup. Just Kstlyz, Miss Maggie. Hit that like and subscribe button. Support us all. We appreciate you guys.
Well, let me end it by saying I am great. I am the great one. A lot of times I am right. For the most part, I'm always right. Atlanta Falcons Nation is always right. You guys have the opportunity to come on our shows and speak your mind. I can't wait to see everybody's reactions during the post game, because it's going to be real reactions. Whether you're going to be pissed off, you're going to be incredibly excited over the wins. I'm looking forward to you guys' reactions on the post game. So we're going to open that up too. We may open up a little bit, but for the most part, I think we're gonna, keep it to the after show. That's gonna be it could be anybody at that point. We'll see how the after show go. It might be those rotational. You never know who you're gonna get.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
On the after show,
but you definitely have another chance to come on. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you will have an opportunity to come on and let your thoughts be heard on the after show. But outside of that, man, you go ahead and check. We'll have a video coming real soon. I'll share it to the community tab. But with JT Sports, if you guys have not checked out his channel, he's a very good young content creator. He pretty much does, some college, some NFL. Did a show with him earlier. It will be out in the next few days or so. But I'll let you guys check that out. But check it out. It's JT Sports. JT, the letter J, the letter T, Sports. I'm sure you guys can spell that. So if you can't, all right, just hit Google. That's all you got to say about it. But that's all I got to say, man. But I ain't forgot about y'all. I'm roasting y'all ass. I got screenshotted everybody.
Wait on it.
Okay.
Look out for Maggie might rant.
No, I'll trust you. I ain't forget. I'm screenshotting everybody, and I'm getting everybody back. Payback.
Well,
What you got, Mr. Kstlyz?
Well, we're gonna say we appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. You know how we do this every time. Hey, like I said, your boy Kstlyz. Make sure y'all subscribe to my channel. 311. So we 689 away from 1,000. We working on that. And I'ma also say this. Hey, I'm at least in the 300s now. That's a damn shocker. But what we gonna say on that as well is I got one show I did that I might do, and this is why I'm asking y'all to ask these questions, these Ask Kstlyz questions, because the 6-man combo will be exclusively on the Just Kstlyz channel. The AFN is going to get the 3Q show with Kstlyz. What are the 3 Qs? The 3 Qs is the quickest of the quick questions with Kstlyz. So,
really?
Okay. Got some new things developing. Look at Kstlyz being
hey. That's why I said the questions are important, because with the 3 Qs, I'm not gonna know when it's gonna happen. I'm not telling y'all when it's gonna happen. Well, I'm gonna tell y'all when it's gonna happen. But that's why I say ask us the questions. And that's what that live is gonna be. It's just gonna be based on the questions that you ask.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Simple format.
And of course we got a huge lineup in store for you guys for the regular season. We're excited about this, but we appreciate y'all just hanging in there while there's nothing really going on in the off season right now. All we can only talk about mini camp and this and off the blank and over and over and over again. I'm just glad y'all tune in each and every time that we do so. So on that note, people, we got to go. We'll let y'all know what we got in store for Tuesday night. But if not, we will see you guys Wednesday night, and just look out for our personal interview, videos and things. I might do another Hawks soon. So appreciate y'all. And I guess on that note, we're out. Peace.
I don't see how the hell ESPN does the same goddamn topics every week.
We're doing it. How about that?
That's crazy too. It's like we talk shit, but we doing it too. Man, I need the preseason to hurry up, man, because goddamn, I'm ready for some action.
All right, people.
You got that right. Y'all ain't got to go home.